morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. And lately, I've been doing a lot of first ever card videos. Well, that's not terribly surprising. We got a new generation of Pokemon. We got a lot of new first ever cards. And ladies and gentlemen, we are adding to that today with Pincurchin. I like Pincurchin. Pincurchin's a really interesting Pokemon in Sword and Shield, and it's a really interesting card. Now, it's fairly small on the face of it. We've got 80 HP, which is very low, but it's not low enough to search it out with Professor Round's lecture, which we're not loving. It's got a retreat cost of 2, which means you get free retreat with Balloon, which is alright, but we'd still prefer it to be, let's just say a little bit smaller. We've got a weakness to fighting, which is not ideal, but having said that, although Silvally remains amazing, we are seeing a big drop in stuff like Pikachu and Zekrom being played, so maybe the weakness isn't as bad as it used to be, and then we realise we're sitting here discussing weakness on an 80 HP Pokemon, and we go, yeah, it's probably not terribly relevant, is it? Let's just move on with our lives. But we do have a lightning Pokemon here. In terms of weakness, it seems like water Pokemon have gone back to a lightning weakness. Look at something like Lapras V Max even. Lapras V Max for a little bit of proof there. But we're just loving the support we've got at the moment. We've got Thunder Mountain Prism Star that reduces your attack cost by 1. We got Tapu Koko Prism Star that will allow you to accelerate a bit of lightning energy. We've got Electro Power to let you do just a little bit of extra damage. And all of a sudden, yeah, this is looking really, really good. But we need attacks, and I'll be honest with you, we don't have attacks. We have attack. We have one single attack. That's all we've got here. Is it any good? Yes. Just to spoil the surprise, just to jump out right at the beginning here, yes, it absolutely is good. We like this very much indeed. 2 lightning energy, and it's a flippy attack, alright? What you do is you flip 4 coins. And for each coin you flip heads on, you do 30 damage. That alone is alright, you can hit up to 120 damage. We would expect on average that you flip 2 coins and hit 60 damage. And if you flip 2 or more coins heads, the defending Pokemon is now paralysed. Oh! Yeah, that's actually really good, ladies and gentlemen. That's like really good. That is, I am expecting paralysis good. There's no guarantee, it may or may not happen, you never know. But we are at the stage here where we are expecting paralysis. On average, when you flip 4 coins, you would expect, with all things being even, you would expect to flip 2 heads. If you took 4 coins and flipped all 4 of them 1,000 times, you would expect the most likely thing to happen would be that you would flip 2 coins. But of course, we don't. When I say 2 coins, I mean 2 coins as heads. But we're not in a situation where either you flip 2 heads or you don't. You see, ladies and gentlemen, there are multiple different outcomes. 0 heads, 1 heads, 2 heads, 3 heads, and 4 heads. And although 2 heads is the most likely, we've also got the moderately less likely 1 and 3, and the not very likely but could happen 0 and 4. So of the 5 possible outcomes, 3 of them give you paralysis, including the most likely one to happen. What this is to say is you cannot guarantee paralysis with this attack, but you should be expecting it. More often than not, you should be expecting paralysis here. And paralysis is good. Paralysis means that your opponent can neither attack nor retreat until the end of their next turn. And they can get out of it. If we look at a card like Mallow and Lana acts as a switch, while also letting you heal 120 damage, so people playing Mallow and Lana will be able to get out of this. And incidentally, even if you hit 4 heads, Mallow and Lana will heal all 120. But you can't retreat out of paralysis. Now, that's not strictly true. If you've got an escape board, you can retreat out of paralysis. And if you're playing Jirachi, you're going to be playing a skateboard, because Jirachi goes to sleep when you use the ability, which is nuts good. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, find a trainer, put it in your hand, Jirachi goes to sleep. And then, of course, you're going to be playing a skateboard so you can retreat, even though you're asleep. But the thing is, most people nowadays probably aren't playing a skateboard. Because you see, unless you're expecting special conditions, you've got U-turn board, also reduces your retreat cost by 1, just like we see with a skateboard. But if it gets discarded from play, it bounces back to your hand, which gives you a rather large advantage. Because it means you can play like 2 of them, but you essentially... It's an awkward one, but you essentially get the benefit of having played 4 or more, while only actually playing 2. It really is quite fantastically awesome. It means you take up a lot less space in your deck. So again, there's no guarantee here, but it's fairly likely that U-turn board becomes a better option. And similarly, Balloon is out now, and Balloon gives you a retreat cost of 2 less. You pay 2 less in order to retreat, which is, again, better as long as you're not expecting to have special conditions. And the point of all of this very simply is, a skateboard used to be the best tool we had for retreating. A skateboard is no longer the best tool that we've got for retreating. And it used to be that in everybody's deck, they were playing Guzma, and they were playing Ace Roller. But we don't have that right now. Guzma let you switch, Ace Roller let you pick up a damaged Pokemon. But again, neither of those are actually in the format at the moment. So all of this becomes a moot point. Do you see where we're going with this, ladies and gentlemen? We are not in a format at the moment where we are built to get around paralysis. You can. There are ways around paralysis, but we're not built for it. It's not what we're aiming for. And that means that a deck like Pincurchin can come around with paralysis and absolutely clean up in this kind of format. Now, having said that, we've got good paralysis options at the moment. We haven't got any absolutely amazingly stunningly ones, but how about Kyurem? The Kyurem from Cosmic Eclipse is actually a really good Pokemon because you get automatic paralysis. Now, you do need to keep getting the energy back on that. I'm lying, it was in Unbroken Bonds. And it's seen almost no play. Now, I saw some winning lists coming out of Japan in some smaller local tournaments, but it's not really made that many waves over here. Discard 2 water energy after doing 110 damage, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. Seems really good, but you have to use a combination of Naganadel and Quagsire, and it's a little bit slow, etc. And remember what I said about Pincurchin. You can use Thunder Mountain Prism Star and it essentially becomes a single energy attack. You can use Tapu Koko Prism Star to put an energy each onto 2 Pincurchin and they essentially become single energy Pokemon. Between Thunder Mountain and Tapu Koko, you basically end up with 3 single energy Pincurchin. And sure, you'll hit tails on paralysis occasionally. It will happen. But by the same token, you'll also occasionally go and hit 120 damage with paralysis. The closest Pokemon I think we've had to this in a while was Vanillux. And this was a Pokemon that went and got top 4 at the UK National Championships. Now, Vanillux, what you did was flip 2 coins if either was heads paralysis, and you had Victini back then, so you had like a 15 in 16 chance of paralysis. It wasn't guaranteed, but it was all but. And annoyingly, since then, we've actually had essentially a reprint of that Victini. At least it's a Victini with the same ability. And we've had Trick Coin, and they've both since rotated out as well. We don't have a way to manipulate flips. If we ever get a way to manipulate flips, you should absolutely start considering this, because this gets so much better. As a quick side note, yes, I do know we've got Will in the format at the moment. The problem is, Will makes you say, the first flip is definitely heads, but you've then still got to flip 1 more from the next 3, which I know, right, hitting 1 out of 3 is a 7 in 8 chance. It's an 87.5% chance, but it's not guaranteed. You could still miss. Either way, Pincurchin seems like one of those Pokemon that is going to be largely ignored by the player base. And then at some point, we're going to hear stories of, there's a Pincurchin deck in top 8? What does Pincurchin even do? Oh, and someone's been flipping well, and it's been going very well. I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. At the end of the day, there is an element of this which is very largely reliant on flipping. And if you flip badly with Pincurchin, you can still have a pretty bad day. But I still think that this is a Pokemon that has a lot of potential. And even if you don't build an entire deck around it, whack a couple of these on a Lightning deck. Find yourself against a deck that doesn't do a lot of switching. And against something like a Tag Team or a VMAX that's giving up free prizes, you might 4-5 hit KO them. But as long as you're just sitting there flipping 2 heads, and your opponent has no switching cards, they're stuck in the active, and even if all Pincurchin ever does is take out 1 free prize Pokemon, that seems pretty good. Might be a deck of its own, might be a fun little tech. I do expect this to pop up in decks that do well. There is a lot of potential here. But I'd like to know what you think about it. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.